Sometimes you go to the theater and you find a movie that is so expressive and so beautiful that you just cannot help not to talk about it. That's this movie. What's up, guys? Welcome to Movie and Point. It's me review of The Last Black Man in San Francisco. It's a movie that's directed by Joe Talbot and stars Jimmie Fails, Jonathan Majors, Danny Glover. And so this is a movie that's going to be on nobody's radar because nobody's probably heard of this movie. It's another film that's an independent film that's by A24, who picked it up at Sundance, and is the basic story of two characters, two friends, both played by Jimmie Fails and Jonathan Majors. And one's more of a poet. He's expressive. He is a guy that likes to see the world in a interesting perspective. He's trying to write a play, but he has writer's block. The other character is a guy who he goes to this house basically, and this house is supposedly his grandfather's house that his grandfather built with his own two hands. So even though this couple owns this house, he goes there every day to paint it, to take care of it. They ask him not to come back, but he keeps doing it anyways. And after a family scuffle between the families that own the house, the house becomes abandoned. In the process of the fight because the mother had died. Jimmie and Jonathan basically become squatters in the house, wanting to take over the house and live there. And Jimmie's character basically has so much history with this house that he can't let it go. And this movie is a basic synopsis of people who have such passion for the city they live in, the places they live in. But when things start to happen, when gentrification starts to happen, when history starts to absolve, it affects people in various ways. And in Jimmie's perspective, the the history of what San Francisco represents is going away. It's being brought in by people who don't really care about it. You can listen to a lot of people who live in San Francisco who talk about how its beauty has disintegrated ever since the tech companies have come in, ever since the startup companies and so on and so forth. And that's what Jimmie's having to deal with. He's having to deal with that problem of things moving on past him. He's not willing to accept it, and in the process, he's not willing to move past of his one way of thinking, and he has to kind of learn that lesson in the process. And it's a movie, like I said, that nobody's ever heard of because it didn't get a lot of play with trailers. I mean, if you ever heard of it, you heard it through Sundance. And I'm here to tell you this movie is fantastic. Everybody in this movie is on point. Jimmie Fails, who's one of the writers of this movie, is absolutely stunning as the main character of this movie. You can tell that him and Joe Talbot, who lived in San Francisco, really have a connection for this city. They really have this passion for it, the beauty of what it used to be. I mean, we're going to places that we don't usually see in movies in San Francisco, like the dirtier, more downtrodden versions of San Francisco. Most of the time, you see the big cities and you see Chinatown and so on and so forth, but you never see the urban environments of San Francisco. And that's what's so spectacular about what Jimmie and Joe have done here. And then Jonathan Majors, like I said, who's playing that guy who's very poetic and has a lot of he sees the world in a different light. He's his best friend, and he's also fantastic. They are just on another level in this movie, and it's beautiful to watch. And then Danny Glover comes in. He has a few scenes in this movie, but he plays the grandfather of Jonathan Majors' character, and he also does a really nice job. The one thing I always like about Danny Glover is he really feels like a real person when he's in his movies. Anything from Lethal Weapon to anything he's ever done, he really feels like somebody you can relate to, and that's what's so much fun about this. And there's this character, Kofi, played by Jamal Lovegood, who is conflicted because he has his friends, his brothers over here, the people that he hangs out with, but he wants to be with the Jimmie and Jonathan characters, but he can't because of, the whole situation. When you see the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And it's what this movie is. It's about people that have such history with a certain city, a certain place, and when things move past them, it's hard for them to deal with. And that's what makes it such a beautiful, stylistic movie. And Joe Talbot is just, this is a breakout directorial performance. I know he did another movie before this, but this is a movie that should be watched by people because it also deals with racism. You know, there's scenes in here where you see a lot of white people who are looking down on Jimmie and Jonathan's character. Then you see they have a friend, or not a friend, but a person they know who's running a retail firm, a realtor firm, and he is just like doesn't really care. And it's just there's a lot of cool stuff, and just the housing and the just a look at what San Francisco can bring. It's a beautiful, beautiful movie. It's highly recommended. It's going to be one of my favorites, probably in my top 10 of the year, because it's just such a well done, well crafted movie. And it's also executive produced by Brad Pitt, so that's another reason this movie got the love that it did, in the filming and the money to back it, which is really good. But and I'll leave with this: it also feels a little bit like, you know, Moonlight, or if Beale Street Could Talk, Barry Jenkins films. You know, the score and the way it's shot, like the close-up angles and the slow dolly movements. It's a really cool thing to see. And it's really neat to see these directors kind of focus and kind of just like momentarily, because this movie doesn't have real pacing to it. It just has moments of characters and what they do. You know, there's this one portion where they're sitting there watching a preacher talk in the middle of the road, and they're waiting for a bus, and it's such a beautiful moment. And that's what I like about films like this, and If Beale Street Could Talk, is just this beautiful, beautiful ways of thinking and storytelling. It just, the fact that you can live in the moment is just really awesome. So that's it. That's my take on The Last Black Man in San Francisco. I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely worth a watch. Subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button at the top, and comment below if you ever see this movie. Tell me what you think of it. I'd be interested to know. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for checking out Movie Emporium. I really appreciate it. If you want to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification button and the bell at the top. Find out what's coming next for Movie Emporium. Also, check out these two videos. They're amazing. I think they're awesome. I think you'll enjoy them too. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.